On the other hand, we have the Tea Party that's organized against government. Which one's going to win? There's a domino effect that's occurring from the global community to the federal community to the state community to the local communities. It's a domino effect, guys. So all of that, I think, needs to be considered. And in particular, we're going to have to ask ourselves is how is that going to impact 2012, Supreme Court, and other institutions. I know from having within the federal government, from my conversations with former colleagues as well as colleagues who are there now, that they are anticipating a host of people retiring because in fact federal salaries have been frozen, and so some of the intelligence that's been there for 4 decades will be leaving the federal government, which is another scary scenario. Additionally, they're being called to make cuts in the ranks already. So these are truly unprecedented times. I have never seen anything quite like it. And I take the agitation of my very good friend and colleague who is in OMB to be really a very significant signal of the extent to which we have to pay attention.
I was tasked with talking about curriculum development, faculty, and student progress. And recognizing the lateness of the hour, I will tell you about some questions that we used in guiding our coming together as a faculty around a new curriculum which is dedicated to human rights and social justice and human rights and well-being. So quickly I will go through these questions and how they impact upon our thinking about and hopefully our teaching about services to Latino populations. First of all, I think it's very clear that Latino is not one thing. It means different things to different people. And it was our task, and we've worked very hard to figure out how to engage faculty to understand and appreciate the breadth of experience of Spanish-speaking people, persons, and groups. Secondly, the history in one's native country, when they arrived, how they got here, and current immigrant status have to be considered as we speak of these populations. What seems to be the individual experiences of people and the group experiences that would help us all understand Latinos and help our students understand how to practice with Latino groups. What and how do we teach about these experiences in the social justice, human rights curriculum? And how does it impact the learning of all students about the issues and about practices of Latino groups as it relates to where they live in New York City and where they came from, and certainly as they move back and forth from here to their homes. What does social work practice mean to them, and what should it mean to other students who may really have a more international perspective? How do we engage students in social action regarding all the injustices and the real and perceived injustices of Spanish-speaking populations of this country? Starting with immigration, and what does that mean to us, what do we do about it, how do we advocate for it? Practicing with persons with immigration status that some may call it illegal. How do we help students link with groups that are practicing in communities, and how do we carry out this charge to liberate Latinos here in our schools, liberate their thinking, liberate their possibility of engaging in different ways with faculty and students, so certainly moving forward in terms of claiming their own way and means of expressing themselves in our faculty. We have a student body as of this morning of 1,572 students. Of those, about 18% are Latinos. And it's incumbent upon us to do something more about recruiting the faculty, which we've tried to, both part-time faculty, but certainly with our regular faculty, and what ways do we do about that. Just something very interesting I'll share with you. I'm going to shut up. When we brought people from up there on Maryland campus, the president requested that our school take over the program, or at least house a program called Mentoring Latinos, that we've done there and been very successful. and Sandy Turner, one of our associate deans, is very integral to that. They've been recently funded, I think, for the 5th year, and they're doing some fantastic things with some interesting results about how college-age Latinas really ensure the success of high school-age Latinas as they move from high school into college through this mentoring process. Just a quick thing that I'd like to say about the whole notion of licensing. We have very aggressively pursued a course of preparing our students for licensing. We like, as Sheldon has indicated, don't teach to the exams because the life experiences of people many times are not captured in exams. We do believe that all of our students can pass a licensing exam. We're doing a variety of things that will reinforce what it is that they know in their exam taking possibilities. We have very little information other than anecdotal, and our students are giving us pretty high marks for doing that. There's a lot more I'd like to say, and Kane sort of prepared to answer these questions that I laid out, but I hope you know that at least these are the kinds of questions that we at Fordham are thinking about, and I think my colleagues in other schools are thinking about too, as we work towards preparing a better and certainly more adequate work of Latino workers. Thanks.
I know I'm the last panelist standing between you, the next session, which is probably going to be hurried, and the YHE reception. So I'll try to be economical with my words. I want to talk a little bit in plain language about the experience that we're in the midst of at the Silver School of Social Work, where we are really have come together to, as a school, to reaffirm our commitment to social justice and diversity. And that certainly includes, but isn't exclusively focused on Latino and Latina populations. And I'm going to emphasize organizational change. Maybe some of you will find yourselves in organizations that need to go to the next level from where they're at some point in time, and that's very much what I see. Now, I've been dean at 2 schools, and actually I found in both schools, you know, I was hired to come in and build research, and, you know, and we have work to do on that at NYU. But when I get there, I find something really different. The community needs to work in a balanced way on social justice issues, on embracing diversity, and we need to find a way that we can't trade off our other goals and tasks with our commitment to social justice and diversity, and that's the challenge that I found at NYU. So I had the advantage 2 years ago of being the new kid on the block. I came in as a new dean, and when you change jobs, when you come into a new organization, I just want to remind you, it's a terrific opportunity to see things freshly. You're not part of the culture, you're not used to the way things are, and that is a real opportunity. And interestingly and surprisingly enough, because no one came to me and said, we need to do work on diversity and social justice, but I could see, honestly, it was the first faculty meeting. We were reviewing our curriculum outcome data on were we achieving our goals for the curriculum. Of course, one of our goals in the curriculum, being a school of social work, is to embrace human diversity and cultural differences in the curriculum and in the school as a whole. And I could see our students were saying we weren't quite there where we should be. We weren't bad, but we weren't quite there. We weren't succeeding as well in this area as we were in certain other areas. And let me say a word about the Silver School of Social Work here. I'm thinking of Henry Acosta's fantastic presentation earlier. We are a school that has a strong clinical practice mission. We are a school that aims to prepare behavioral health practitioners and that should be contributing to the diversity students were telling us they weren't well enough prepared. They got something, but they didn't get as much as they wanted. And we certainly didn't have the diversity. We have about 15% Latino students in our school. Overall, about 35% students of color. It looks pretty good by a national average, but it's not particularly good when you look at the city that we're in. So we knew right away, looking at our numbers, that we needed to pay some attention. Do we want to take a poll question until later?
Is that 15% in the School of Social Work or
Yes.
in the college?
That's in the School of Social Work, our own school. I also noticed that, no one was talking about diversity issues. It just was like, I call it a kind of an atmosphere of benign neglect. No one had negative intentions, but there was just an absence. And there were plenty of committed individuals, but I thought a lack of focus on the organizational level, a lack of support organizationally, and I thought, well, the buck does sort of stop here, so it's my responsibility to try to move the organization forward and try to move us in this area. So I am a believer that the leader of the organization must set the tone. I started talking with people, had conversations, tried to bring diversity issues into the discourse of the school. I believe you should also capitalize on I'm an opportunist. I kept trying to see opportunities and capitalize on them. Well, being a new dean, one of the things we were doing, our faculty was engaging in creating a new agenda for the school. So I knew that I wanted to really make sure that our diversity and social justice agenda was going to be part of this new agenda. Now, in case you don't know, the dean never succeeds by saying this must be done. Never. Absolutely never. So it's not that I say this must be done, but it's that I try to find ways to help this bubble up within the faculty and affirming situations for those who have the courage to, focus on these issues. And so one thing we did was create an ad hoc human diversity committee as part of our strategic planning to keep the discourse going. Now the real opportunity that we had in our school over the last 2 years, I'm calling it student power. And it was really the single resource that made the difference. Our wonderful students, a few of whom, a few graduates, a few alums are in the audience today, and I'm thrilled to see you. So we had tremendous energy coming from a talented group of committed students. We had several different diversity organizations. Some of them were ethnically or racially focused. We have a strong LGBTQ community in our school. And those groups came together and created a racial diversity coalition. And as I'll tell you in a bit, that became a very powerful organization. What were some of the things they did? They called, not I, the students called town hall meetings for our entire community. Faculty, students, field instructors, adjunct instructors, where we had discussions about the student experience and the and diversity issues in our school. And you might not be surprised to hear, some of those town hall meetings were pretty uncomfortable, especially for the faculty, because the faculty hear things they don't want to hear, like the students saying we don't feel safe in the classroom, and the students saying our ethno-cultural diversity course is a lot of content, but not enough real process and interaction. And these students had the courage to really speak out, despite the fact that they're in the program and, fears retribution. Once again, I think the leader of the organization sets the tone in making sure that, there isn't going to be negative consequences as a result of that kind of speaking out.
You're gonna have to town hall right
Students,
now. I think we should be okay.
by their request, eventually participated on faculty ad hoc diversity committee that we were using in our strategic planning, and that got mixed responses. Not all the faculty wanted students on this faculty committee, but we, you know, kind of just encouraged them along, and the students, this really enabled the faculty and students to come together and really come up with some very creative long-term ideas for our communities changing. Another principle that's always been very helpful to me is capitalize on the resources of the parent organization. In this case, the parent organization is New York University, our university as a whole. And what was going on there that helped us? Well, the provost had a special committee on diversity at NYU. One of our faculty members, Gina Nastis, who's probably well known to many of you, she's the national president of NESW, and she's really committed to diversity and social justice. And she was on that committee, and she brought back ideas to us. She, you know, kind of gave us a lay of the land university-wide and so on. A second resource of the university is we had a new and engaging affirmative action and diversity officer, full of great new ideas, full of, you know, wanting to institute some change at our university as a whole. She was a great resource to us. Third of all, I want to mention our president, John Sexton's top priority for New York University over the next decade, and that's to become a global network university. So shifting our agenda to global is a really important way to bring cultural diversity, to bring social justice into our School of Social Work. And I thought it is very appropriate for our School of Social Work, since social work is now a global profession. And we very quickly said to the university, the global network agenda is great, but we want to make sure we're global at home by focusing on immigration. So we see a real focus on immigration as one of the ways that our school can be global and be local at the same time in a very relevant way. We're also lucky to have our brand new McSilver Institute for Poverty Policy and Research. So although we've been known all these years as the clinical School of Social Work, this gives us an opportunity to keep the clinical, but to broaden in terms of social justice and populations in need. And I know my time is moving on, so I'm going to try to move quickly. The next principle that I was guided by is don't wait to take action. Take every action you can. While you're analyzing, don't make an analysis first and action later, but take every action to improve inclusiveness and diversity in the community. So we focus, and we're starting our focus fabulous for us called Undoing Racism. It's a coalition of individuals who committed their lives to undoing racism. And for some reason, NYU never participated in it. Well, we started sending people. We hosted special sessions for our faculty who at first didn't want to necessarily, some were afraid to go to sessions that also included students. I went to an Undoing Racism weekend workshop, and now many of our faculty and students have participated, and it's really a great way to raise your consciousness in a very important way. We started hiring diverse faculty and staff right away. This is one of the things, you want to make your environment more responsive, then you diversify it. And it's just, that's one of the best ways to achieve that goal. And so we asked the question for every search, how do we attract diverse candidates? How do we ensure careful and honest evaluation of diverse candidates? And I found through a couple of searches that, we're a school, like a lot of schools of social work, who had a really strong tendency to hire people like me, white middle-class women. And that's who I was getting every time we were doing a search. And I really had to kind of put my foot down and say, we got to look deeper. Why isn't the pool diverse? Why are you giving me only white middle-class women who are, the finalists in the search? And it took me a search or two to get to see that pattern going on. But we moved forward. We started looking more closely at our candidates, and I'll tell you in a moment about we have diversified our okay, 1 minute. If I have to say one more thing, I want to say something. At NYU, we're a research university, so I have the challenge of upgrading our research profile, which needed a little upgrading, along with retaining our clinical practice excellence and diversifying our school and our environment. And I just want to say that you have to find a way that there's no trade-off. So I'm delighted to say, here I'll sum up. I'm going to go ahead to outcomes. Outcomes. So 60% of the faculty we've hired at all ranks, including full professors in the last 2 years, have been people of color. There's been immediate impact. We have people doing fantastic research. We have a new center for Latino adolescent and family health, under Dr. Vincent Ramos. And that center just partnered with Planned Parenthood to do a major public education initiative about talking to your teens about sex and their sexual choice options. So that's a way to, that's an example of not trading off the research with the diversity. We've increased the diversity of the student body. Our wonderful racial diversity coalition, and it's these students' photos I wanted to show you. They won a university-wide award, the NYU Social Justice Award, for the work that they did. So I'm going to conclude with saying, what are our ongoing challenges? We haven't achieved what we need to achieve.
Do we want to move on at this point, if that's all right? Yes.
What are our ongoing challenges? One, and this is something I'm really committed to. I don't know if I can do it. I want to change the tone from an obligation to be responsive to diversity to one of celebration and enthusiasm. And I've seen some cases where institutions do that. All too often, if it shapes an obligation, it's, in my view, it's not going to succeed at the optimum level. When we find that now that we're more diverse, we have even more difference of opinion and potential conflict, so we need to find ways to do that, to deal with that, and I believe we can. And third of all, I think the important thing is keep the eyes on the prize. And what is the prize? The prize is being true to our values. The prize is educating social workers who are culturally competent, who are going to improve the diversity of the workforce and provide better services to clients. So thank you very much.
I want to thank our panel members so much. I think we have fabulous leadership among the deans and schools of social work. The challenges are absolutely formidable, so we need to be able to continue really work together. At this point, we're going to go into the last part of the program, and that is a call to action. And to lead us in that is a fabulous social worker, somebody I've known for many years. Jose, I'm talking about you. I am talking about you, Jose Nazario, founding member of our task force. There's a very good reason why he was asked to give leadership to this part of the program.
Firstly, thank you so much for being here with us. I just want to add a couple of comments before I start. First of all, Maria and Bob, I expected for lunch, pero I don't come back too late.